Let's talk about what all the markets are focused on right now, the Fed and a potential rate hike next month. Can the Fed finally raise rates? What do you make of the landscape here, Dr. Paul?
Well, all along I've always assumed that they probably wouldn't raise the rates, that it would become evident that the economy is weaker than they pretend. I still believe that, but they've actually, I think, convinced themselves that they've gotten the markets to work it in and assume that the rate will be increased and it will go through without ramifications. So since I place no confidence in the Fed doing anything in a smart way, who knows what they'll do. But I still think there's a lot of evidence from history to show that the Fed is in a bind and they'll get nervous, and at the last minute they'll find another excuse not to raise rates.
In anticipation of tightening in the U.S., we've seen the dollar get a boost. This has been a major factor pressuring the gold market. What do you make of the dollar strength? Is it a true reflection of the state of the U.S. economy?
I think there, of course, is a lot of manipulation. The one thing the governments can do, which they've done for a long time, and it goes back to the time I got interested in monetary policy and Austrian economics, was the manipulation of the dollar and keeping the dollar at $35 an ounce for year after decades, and they were able to do it. But finally, the market overwhelmed, and gold finally broke out. But I think they continue to do exactly that. So here we have a situation today where, the spot market, is higher than the futures market. So somebody's this is sort of strange. So yes, the dollar is up in relationship to other currencies, but if you look at the dollar long term since 1971, it's actually been pretty steadily down. So it's up right now, but I think it's temporary, and I think when the markets decide to shift, they'll say, well, no, the dollar is strong and it's the dollar of the world and all these kind of things. But I think the attitude can change rather quickly and people will leave. And then, but the ultimate test for the dollar is the purchasing power of the dollar, and that's going down all the time. So,
Dr. Paul, I just want to go back to something you mentioned about gold and manipulation. Are you suggesting that there's a clear manipulation in the gold market?
Oh, I think so. You know exactly how it occurs and who says what and who sets things. But, yeah, I think, the futures markets, our government actually has the legal ability to do it in the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which they got in the 30s, that they were allowed to manipulate the price of gold, for the interest of the dollar and our economy. So they do this. But of course, they do it pretending that nobody knows what they're doing. But no, I believe they do it. But I don't think we'd have these kind of markets if you wouldn't have somebody trying to prop up the value of the dollar.
All right, Dr. Paul, thanks so much for joining us on the Kitco Gold Report today.